This is the 10th anniversary of this gala. We have just marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. The NAACP this year is now 100 years old. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 80th birthday we commemorated several weeks ago, and Barack Obama is President of the United States. At no time in America could the words that I just spoke ever have been spoken with truth until now. As we meet this night, I want to remember two local historians who extensively researched and wrote on the subject of African American history and who passed away since this last gala was held, John Weldon Scott and Eric Liddell Smith. Their contributions to our knowledge of our nation shall live in perpetuity. Black History Month is a national celebration that owes its origin to Harvard University historian Dr. Carter Woodson, who first started what was then called Negro History Week in 1927. What began as a week and what is now a full month answers a lie, the lie of omission. Black History Month says to all that history should be known, history should be told in its entirety. History should be about truth, and not the manipulation of a biased revisionist. Because history belongs to everyone, and it's not the providence of one group. The history of African Americans is as compelling, as enriching, as extraordinary as any part of our national experience. And when we say we commemorate Black history, and I say this every year, that also means that we revere and know the continent of Africa as much as we revere and know the continents of Europe and Asia and South America. We mean that our national heritage is inclusive. And we mean that we reject the politics of segregation, separation, divisiveness, and exclusion. The theme tonight is a celebration of unity. And by this event, we affirm our belief that we are stronger when we act in unison, that we can achieve great things for the community and for all citizens when we act in common cause, that our strength comes from unity, for, as Lincoln himself said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. When we say Black History Month, it's not a theme of political correctness. It's an overdue remembrance of what the nation once denied in recognition. We do commemorate the grand mosaic that makes up our diverse society and to which Black Americans have made substantial and historic and continuing contribution. In every field of endeavor, in the fields of battle, in the halls of justice and government, in the classroom and the laboratory, in the fields and the factories, in athletics and the arts, in the defining and the improving of the human condition, and in propelling America to live up to the full meaning of its founding creed, Black Americans have been at the forefront yesterday and today. And as this nation remains at war against terror and enemies abroad who would wish to do us further harm here at home, and with our troops deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere, all in harm's way and wearing the uniform of this nation, we should tonight remind ourselves that 22% of our enlisted military personnel are African American, more than double the percentage of African Americans in the total American population. That means that now, as in every era of our past, African Americans have fought for and defended this nation, this democracy, our way of life, and our rights of liberty and justice, even at times when the same nation they were defending denied these soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines their equal rights. Let me call attention to a young lady who just came home Speaking of those in present-day active duty, I'd like Robin V. Reynolds, the United States Navy. Stand up wherever you are, Robin. She just came back. Robin just came back from a 7-month deployment in Kuwait, where she and her fellow Navy personnel provided medical services, including traumatic and emergency care, for our soldiers and other troops serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. We are delighted she's back in one piece and in great shape. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin, for your service to this nation. And thanks to all of you in this room who may be members of the active duty military, the reserve, the guard, or who are veterans of military service in America. We owe you a debt that cannot be paid. When some think of African American history, especially if they're white, one of the first things that is thought of is slavery. Slavery was an international criminal enterprise to provide economic benefit to some through the subjugation of many others. It was once allowed by law, and it was protected by corrupt courts and governments and many religions. It involved the taking of millions of fellow human beings from their homes for enslavement at distant places. Folks, I got news for you. Slavery does not define African American history. Slavery is about white history. It defines those who perpetrated the crime. It defines the injustices and the inequities and the discrimination and racism that had been a part of the American experience and a taint on this nation's soul. And that so much, nonetheless, has been achieved by African Americans under that duress, that high success has occurred against obstacle and challenge, that African American communities have not only survived but thrived. That's the definition of the African American history that we celebrate.